It is 9:26.
9:26. Patty Wicks.
Lourdes Corvo.
Nancy Rogers. Amanda.
Pedro Piallo.
All right, the order of business is our budget. We cannot vote today. We can kind of discuss it, but we cannot vote on it because we do not have quorum at this time. The thing that I was asking Idle was in the category of the health fair, we've got 4,699.51 or somewhere around there.
Correct.
I know we can't use it because it's not in the same category as it's not being used, it was used specifically for the health fair, right? That money came in from the health, was acquired.
Sponsorship dollars that were received for the health fair.
Right, the health fair.
And I'm sorry, can you read the top? Says available budget. So they need available budget, right?
Right, but if they're in a particular
Category.
you can't move it to a different category without a vote from us, being the committee, with quorum. And two, I think you have to have it approved by council if it's over $500. But this is not our budget money. This is our money
Sponsorship dollars.
from sponsorship. My understanding from the last conversation we had is that they were gonna go back and ask the sponsors, could we move that money? Would they agree to have that money moved to a different category?
That was a suggestion from the committee, right? I explained to you guys that that's not what we normally do, but you guys were saying, hey, what if we go back to sponsors and we ask them, hey, we want to use those funds for this.
Oh, well, then I guess you.
So we went back to town staff
All right,
and we
thank
discussed.
you, bye-bye.
Well, based on how we work with that money right now, based on our rule, we cannot do that because that is not what the sponsors gave the money for. And it would create too much confusion in the middle of a budget year to use some funds to move some sponsorship dollars when we haven't moved sponsorship dollars for other things in other committees. Now, based on that recommendation from the committee, what we can do and will be doing to avoid this next fiscal year is anytime the sponsors sign up, there's like a reply form, right, that we've created. Anytime the sponsors sign up, there's going to be a disclaimer at the bottom saying any unused funds, like for whatever specific event that you gave funds for, pretty much it's up to the discretion of the committee to later use those funds for any other LGU First Committee events, for example. So that will allow us to move funds because now we're
But that's
being
in the
strict,
future.
But that's in the future.
That's in the future. So,
Correct. As of right now, we are not allowed to do that.
So
We're not
they-
allowed to move sponsor dollars.
so they said, no, you can't go back to these people. So this money's just gonna sit there forever?
No.
No, it goes.
That's
away.
it. So that's exactly where I want to create be very clear because Dottie is under the impression that that money goes back to the town. That is incorrect.
Where does it go?
I'm going to explain to you, and I have explained this to you guys before, so please make note of it. If you need further clarification, I think this is pretty clear. The town cannot take back those dollars, take them away from elderly affairs. They were given to elderly affairs, so the town cannot just pocket them. The town will now carry over those funds into the next fiscal year for the same line item. So you are still at that point going to have to use those funds for the health care, for their intended purpose.
Which is fine because,
Right, so the money's still yours, it's just either you use it this fiscal year for a health fair or you use it next fiscal year for a health fair, but it's gonna have to stay under that line item, is all that happens.
Have to wait for the health fair, right?
Now, exactly, if it were not sponsored dollars, if it were just budget money, you guys can request to move it to other line items. After $700, you have to go to council for that approval. And that's really it, right? Like we are able to make that decision.
All right, say we don't have a health fair next year. Where would that go?
Then you aren't using the funds. We're not gonna be allowed to move those funds over. So I would suggest that if you guys have $2,000, you either have a health fair or you have a health fair like related, expense.
Let me ask you this, if we can say to all these people, we can send the event we're gonna do for Miss and Mister. And we say, can we use the funds that you already?
That's what the town is not, we cannot move sponsorship dollars that were given for a health fair for something else.
Okay.
Because we were not upfront from the very beginning.
You first. No, you You're doing
Who's the younger one?
mine as a suggestion.
The younger
Go for
one.
it.
Now we're voting.
Well, you have to recognize her, not me.
I recognize you.
Okay, so what if we have a mini health fair at one of the bingos? And it's a health fair. And that money could be used for the bingo.
Yeah, I can look into that for you and see, but you would have to have a whole health fair related. event.
Bingo money. This is a health fair. It's just going to happen to fall on the day that we do bingo.
Now you have to keep in mind capacity and all that. So that's just logistics to think
We're
about. But
confined
yes,
to Mary
we
Collins
cannot tell
right
you
now.
to not have a health fair, right? As long as the availability and the space is there, you can do
We're
that.
confined to.
And I would suggest you might as well use the money that was given to you for healthcare purposes.
That's where we have the healthcare is at Mary Collins.
No, not Mary Collins. They have all of
I
our
could do it.
activity right now is here at Town Hall.
Oh, you just
Because
said
it's
it's at
not-
Mary Collins. Oh, I thought that the bingo.
No, the singles are all here in town.
Yes, you guys are allowed to use the funds. I'm not telling you you can't use them. It just has to be for healthcare, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
As usual, public safety doesn't have much money for all these type of events. So what I was thinking of is somehow public safety does some kind of elderly affairs related, you know, what to do in an emergency type thing, a
I'm trying to
general,
get that.
I'm sorry,
I've been trying to get that with Amador,
whereas
with Amador.
But that's not public safety related. I mean, that's not an initiative coming out of public safety, what you're
Oh,
talking
I'm
about.
Oh, okay.
all right, but what I'm saying is, I think I had brought up to the last meeting, remember the fire extinguisher use and disposal of one, and you don't know if it's empty or not, and this and that and the other thing. So, a safety issue or event for the elderly, you know, how to keep your home safe. Don't do this, don't do that, whatever. We'll figure something out together as two committees to do something. And I know we have to do it before the end of the fiscal year or whatever the heck it is for the budget, but we can do this quickly. And this way, you bring the safety issue in. I have some kind of a thing with whatever money is like, I drive her crazy. How much money have we got? How much money have we got?
Well, we got 4,000.
And then I keep finding out more bills may be coming in,
No, we
like with
don't.
Brandon's
Take it out.
things. With Brandon's announcements that cost money. So that's why I can never keep up. In addition to.
Well,
my
that's
other-
because you guys should really have a treasurer to be helping to keep
I
with that.
asked about that.
But I won't get into it because I don't want to
I
support an
know,
elderly.
I
affairs.
know, but what I'm saying is, guys, and we
That's
can't
not
vote, but I'm bringing up a
So
suggestion.
based on your suggestion, just I will, this
I
is
think
a
I brought that up
reminder,
at the
this
last
is a
meeting.
reminder. Okay. The committees are actually, council usually tells the committees, hey, collaborate together on events. So that is a good idea. It's something that could be done. The committees just have to vote on it. Both committees, because public safety hasn't voted on this, for example. So you'd have to take that back to them and have them as a committee approve it if they
Well,
want.
that's the pain in the neck,
Yeah.
because our meetings are at the end of the month all the
Yeah.
time, you know, we're
I
bringing up
think,
the tail.
But
end.
yes, you can do that. So
So
if you guys vote on it and agree on it, that's something you can do. You can do like a
I don't want
health
to
fair
take a
initiative.
vote. I'd just like to ask opinions. Does everybody here think that's worthwhile for me and Dottie to work on
I think it's a great
as
idea.
chairs?
I think it's a great idea.
You know, you got the
Yeah.
people. And I will get the
Do you mind?
people together.
I think we waste money when we do field trips because not enough people go. However, for the bingo, there's always, we set up 20 tables.
Well, we've opened up the bingo, I mean, the field trips now to
I think
anybody.
it's better to stop the field trips
But
because
we can't at this year because we've already
well,
paid.
you
for the
already
rest.
have the committee with the bus, but next year, think about it.
Well, I definitely think so.
Because we pay for a 50 people bus and we get not
That'd
even
show.
half. So
And those buses. are
people
like
don't care about going
$1,400
to field
sometimes.
trips.
Yeah, they've gotten really expensive.
They're really expensive now.
I know.
We're not gonna be able to afford the field trips.
Well, if council gives us the money that we asked for the meeting, we shouldn't have a problem next year. Because I specifically
You allocate.
allocated, I think it was $11,000 more,
Right.
which would get us through the end of the year. You know, because I averaged it at $11.08. So we have to keep that number in mind, the average when we're negotiating.
Well, I got one
with
in
these
office that's gonna
restaurants.
be free. He's gonna pay for everything.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying, but the average. But when we did the math, we considered that we were getting $6,900 in money from sponsors. So that would be part of that 6,000 that we had budgeted when we asked for the $11,000 more.
Yeah.
But when we're negotiating with, and I don't negotiate, Dottie does, Pedro does, I don't know who does the negotiations with the restaurant. I think it's usually Dottie.
No, Pedro and I both have done it.
Right, keep that number in mind, that it's an average. So if we get one, obviously at $9, we can do one. At,
I got it for eight. I'm pretty sure.
right, so then you can do one for 13. You just.
I
have
think
to-
you guys as a committee should just agree, like, this is the X amount of dollars that we are going to be spending per, like what you're saying, this is the average and this is the amount that we should not go over. It doesn't matter who you're catering
But-
from, because at certain, well, at least in the beginning, because if you start off bad, then you know, then you're gonna eat away at your budget.
Right,
At least if at the end you see you have extra money, okay, hey, this is budget dollars, we can move it, blah, blah, blah. But if you kind of, you know, kill yourself in the beginning, then at the end, you're like, oh, damn, we don't have money.
well, I think with the average. You sit there and go, okay, we got one at $7, we can do an expensive one the next month. But keep in mind that the
Yeah,
average.
most of them
let's just-
should be at the,
If the budget passes.
yeah.
If the budget passes, it should be no higher than $11. Because the 8 cents isn't gonna make or break us one way or another, we could do.
But that's why I think you should set a maximum dollar, like, we should never be paying more than X amount of dollars per lunch. Just so that they have something to work off of when they're,
The problem with that is if we've gotten 7 of them, $7,
then you would be fine for everything.
then we would be fine. for
I
another.
understand, but I'm saying at least it gives you money to play with at the end of the year. Like, if you want to do an extra event, like, oh, hey, we have an additional this amount of dollars, we can move it to the plan and we can do an extra field trip, we can do an extra thing. Because it's your budget dollars, not. But I just wanted to bring you guys back to the reason, more importantly, as to why we wanted to meet and vote today. So. Obviously, because we weren't able to move the sponsor dollars as you guys, you know, wanted to. That leaves us with that deficit under bingo. And as you guys may or may not know, we still have the months of July, August, September, currently scheduled 2 bingos per month, right? Before the new fiscal year. So that means we have 6 bingos, actually 7 with the one happening this week, still left. And we are at a deficit of $4,699, and we haven't even paid for Wednesday's bingo luncheon. So that's obviously an issue. At this
Well,
point,
I'm sorry, excuse me.
yeah.
I don't think we're at a deficit.
Yes, if you look at meeting, that's the bingo.
Yeah.
No, but come
Come on, come on in. Good morning. I'm sorry, come on in, we need. We're still not gonna, we need your one.
Yeah.
So meet and eat on your budget is what we charge the bingo lunches to. So if you look there, you guys have spent $17,699 so far on that line item alone this fiscal year. You do not have enough budget for that. So you are at a deficit of $4,699. At this point, I cannot charge an invoice because that line item isn't properly funded.
So, okay, so let me ask you a question. What happens? Let's say we're in the deficit. Now
Well,
what happens to the?
Technically, you guys have money, right, in other line items that you can move. You have budget dollars from other line items that you can move to correct that deficit and to give you cushion for the upcoming bingos.
Here.
No more.
Well,
We were gonna
you
vote
got
on
your
it.
senior.
I went through all your line items. So I went through all your line items, like your last page, like your last attachment. Your last attachment shows suggestions that I put together for you guys, that you could vote on if you like, to correct that deficit and really to bring you back, you know, up to date and so that we could charge to that line. However, At this point, I don't foresee, based on the pattern that we've had in the last year with bingos, I don't see how you're gonna be able to pay for 2 bingos every month for the last thing. I will remind you that last fiscal year, you guys didn't have 2 bingos a month every month. That was maybe for like half of the year.
Okay.
So that's also might be a reason. Obviously, food costs have gone up. But in addition to that, you guys are having more bingos this year. So I think that's also probably why you went through your money faster and didn't even notice it.
Let me ask you this, if we get sponsor, for example, we have a sponsor for the 23rd, we
Yeah.
have to pay a penny.
We can always have sponsors, that's always great, like the sponsor that you guys are working on, that they're gonna pretty much donate the food, that's a zero cost to you, that's great. But if you're not able to get a zero, somebody who fully donates the food, the sponsor dollars alone is not enough to cover your entire catering for a bingo.
Because
Does that make sense?
In spite of the
I
fact, in
remember.
spite of the fact
Remember the young guy?
that our bingo has dropped, the attendance has dropped a bit because we're here. In spite of the fact we're down to, what is it, 65 here,
65 plus
as
every-
opposed to 100 something,
Yeah,
we're still gonna have a deficit.
correct.
No, we are.
You currently are at
We
deficit
are.
without even going into
So
the
the next
future.
part of my question is, we're down by,
Which I'll remind you
37.
guys, these budgets have been printed every meeting as you guys requested, and I just don't think you've been keeping a great, keeping an eye on them.
all right.
I
so
don't
my
think, to
question
be honest
is-
with you, I don't think we've shown a deficit.
Yes, you have, because you
Last-
voted on that at the last meeting, for that
No,
reason,
well,
because
we-
there was a deficit.
We did vote to move the 500, so I don't know why that didn't get moved.
If you pull up the minutes right now, it shows where you guys made motions to move the sponsor dollars that you thought was gonna cover that deficit.
No,
So you were aware of that deficit.
We were talking about the sponsor dollars to, I thought, in my opinion, cover the ones that were coming up. Not that we were.
To
in a
cover
deficit.
bingo line item in general. If I pull up, I have the minutes here, and that was the vote taken by the committee. So the committee was aware of the deficit. You guys just thought it was gonna be covered by the suggestion of moving the sponsor dollars.
Yeah, but we weren't.
Obviously, it wasn't 4,699 at the moment because
I know we weren't.
3 bingos have now passed that. So obviously, it just keeps going up. So
But, okay, but our $500, why, we did vote to have that.
what $500? Which ones?
The health fair, we had 500.
No. You
We
guys
used it.
had, no.
I thought there was the additional 500.
The health fair, these are all the expenses that have come in from it, and that's how much
Miscellaneous.
money you guys have left from it. You have $2,063, and it's all sponsored dollars. So you cannot move them to other line items.
Okay,
That's what you guys
can we
wanted
get-
to.
Can we get a definitive answer as to what money gets used first, the sponsor dollars?
I'm
and then-
happy to explain that, and I just want to put it.
No,
Because
I don't mean to interrupt you. But we keep, at the last meeting, we got 2 different answers, just so you know.
yeah,
We got one
I
answer.
understand,
then they
and there was
called-
somebody filling in for me, but I will mention that prior to that, we've had the conversation, and I'm happy to explain it on the record again, but I need you guys to take note of this, because at this point, I think you're just not understanding. To be very clear, sponsored dollars always get used first, then budget dollars get used.
So if that's the case, we
Correct.
should have $500. Right, because we
For
originally,
health fair, yes, so you are allowed to move up to 500 based on the budget that was given.
right, and we voted on that.
Let me pull up the minutes to see if that's correct. Because you guys asked to move the entire amount, that's the thing, you didn't piece it down. So like 500 budget and the rest sponsor dollars, we want to move, it.
We-
You guys just said we want to move the entire amount.
If I recall, it was move the money that we have and try and get the sponsored dollars.
Okay. And if that's,
And I wasn't taking the notes. I don't.
that's
believe-
okay, and if the
But-
minutes show it, we can do it. That's
Listen
not
to
a
the,
problem.
or we can
No,
listen
there's
to-
minutes, the minutes are the vote, and if you guys voted on it, that's not a problem.
But it's some-
You're correct, $500, you guys are allowed to move,
Right,
because you have $500 budget.
right.
The rest is what you cannot. move.
I thought we also. Let me see, I thought we also moved the cards, which was $1,000.
But I'm sorry, before we get into that, I just want to know, do you guys have any questions based on just the general statement that budget dollars get used sponsor dollars get used first and then budget dollars? Like, does everybody understand that, or do you need further clarification on it?
No.
Okay.
I also thought that we had moved the senior ID the $1,000 over.
I think there's been a lot of discussion with the seniorities, but let me pull up the minutes because I don't want to go off of my memory.
I thought we had.
I don't see it.
I think with the ID, we've been back and forth about, yes, we're gonna do them or not. I think the last direction you guys gave me was check if we have a mission to do it. So I don't think you guys were intending to move this.
No, because when I presented it, I know that I said we weren't gonna do it.
But I think what you presented was for next.
No, I know, but that's why I'm saying we resolved that issue because at that time we had, so we had $1,000 and I believe we moved it.
Let's see. I have the ID cards in the minutes. But it talks about for next fiscal year. Okay, I suggested transferring funds from healthcare and ID cards to the meet and eat line item as required. A motion made by Ms. Corvo. to
Right.
move From the healthcare account. No, but you had made a motion to move money except from the healthcare account.
Hey, we're having a meeting. I was hoping you could.
Towards a meeting
Vote, we need
Of
more.
4,863, so out of those 4,863,
Did you get the notice?
what we have the power to move is 500.
All right,
So
so
we'll
Elderly
do that.
Affairs Committee, you didn't get a notice?
But what I'm saying is I don't see where it
You
says
don't
the
have- you
move
said
the
you have
ID
emails.
cards.
You don't have
I'm
emails?
sorry. I don't-
Okay, we'll have. Okay, all right, fine. She's on her way to Zumba class.
She's what?
She's on her way to Zumba class.
Oh.
She did this. So the suggestion was made, but the vote here says Ms. Corvo made motion to move 4,163 from healthcare account, use it towards meet and eat. Motion was approved. So out of that, I can make sure that the 500 gets moved.
okay, so, and the 1,000.
You guys can make a vote for it. Yeah, you guys can vote on that when you have.
Corner.
Now, I don't know if the ID cards motion that you're talking about was last meeting, which I wasn't here.
No, it was not last one.
No, it was.
Yeah.
Because if it was, I don't have those minutes yet, but once we have those minutes, if it shows, we're good.
Huh?
You did the minute.
I know, that's why, but I don't have a, I have a, what do I?
I'm
Did you send
referring,
it already?
I sent them to, yeah, I sent them to you. I sent them to you.
Because I reminded you to send
Yeah,
them.
I sent them on time.
well, you're still on time, but
No, but Dottie said I
I
had,
reminded her. Don't
she
forget
reminded
to
him, so I
have-
did them that night, because if not, I would forget.
your last, no, I don't have one from you.
I will look right now. I will look right now.
But the minutes I was referring to, just so you know, was from May 3rd meeting. That's where you guys requested to move the healthcare dollars. So again, right now it's just discussion. I know we can't make motion, but I just want you guys to be clear as to really why we wanted to vote today is because we have a deficit. You guys have upcoming bingo, so the committee really needs to either find sponsors that will give you the full, will cover the full amount, such as the one you guys worked on for,
If,
or we have to cut down the bingos realistically, right?
well, that I can see happen. Until next year, whatever. All the sponsors we have, with bothering me, we get the sponsors for almost every bingo. And,
Remember, that's why you guys decided to up the amount of sponsor, like what the cost is. So now we're implementing that, but whatever happened in the past, they were at $300,
well,
So
so
how much money do you need for,
right now,
for the bingo? How much money?
So Lourdes, what did we say the average was for like the bingos?
$11 and like 4 cents. $11.
For how many people?
I'm
120.
For the summer, you have like about 75.
Pardon me?
The summer ones are less.
We have some, where we give meals out.
But remember, when we did that math at that meeting, we took out, I believe it was I didn't bring all my notes, 6,900, if I recall. As sponsored, so when we did that math,
But that was to account for next fiscal year.
right, that was projecting for next year.
I think, yeah, so just so you know, the one that we have on Wednesday, those lunches are $13 each. So I have an invoice of 1,165 that needs to get paid, and we don't have enough funding in that line.
All right, so if we, we agreed for the 500 to go over.
Yes, we can do that.
We can, and I'm almost sure the 1,000. Look at your notes and see, because
I mean, you guys,
That's
if you guys would
50.
like to move it, you can, right? Those are your budget dollars that haven't been used. You can move. Them.
Okay.
We just need the motion and that's it. We can do it for you. But that's still,
That's
the
still
whole is still,
We still
it's
don't-
still a lot.
Yeah.
So that's why I need the committee to make a decision as to how they're
Well,
gonna
if-
tackle
if
that
we
for the
put-
upcoming one.
At least prove that we got the $1,500, that'll help us to pay a bill, right? Or no?
I will,
You think?
I mean, I think looking at this, you guys have enough funds, right? So I can go to the budget office and say, hey, look, they have 6,500. That they're positive about, they can move those dollars. But they need to show that you guys have the intention of moving those dollars towards that rather than just, then going off, oh, we have
No,
5,000 in this and we're gonna use it in that instead, right? Because then you can't.
No, I see what you're saying.
Well, next week, we should have the meeting next Wednesday,
Next Wednesday.
no, this coming up for. About 10 days.
But she can move the 1,000 and the 500 if she can prove it to you.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
Yes.
You can move the 500 now because that's already.
We can move the 500 based on the old motion.
Right. And she's got proof of the
For the young
1,000.
lady.
Yeah.
But looking.
Never find your email, Dottie. What's your email, Dottie?
DA_Wicks and Bill South.
What is it?
DA_Wicks.
So no problem.
So even from Lourdes note about $1,000,
Yes,
that
that's
still
fine.
doesn't cover the 4,699. I mean, at this moment, we can't do anything about it, but I just wanted everybody to understand why we were trying to meet today and move dollars based on that. So I guess maybe right now what you can do is think about it for your next meeting and come prepared with ideas as to how we're gonna tackle that.
We're gonna have to drop a lot of stuff.
Go back to one window, one a month.
Yeah, this one, if you go down to one a month, that leaves you with July, August, September, that's 3 bingos and,
We've already got-
August
is covered.
Dottie and Pedro have worked
And we
on
can-
getting one of those completely free.
I don't
So
have.
really, you
internet.
just have to be responsible for covering 2 bingos at that, which is a lot cheaper than
Or 6, no, I'm gonna. I'm not logged on. but
Well, we'll,
for the internet.
we can know.
So we'd only need
So,
to
yeah,
cover
that's
July and September. One bingo.
Yeah, at that
July
point,
and
if you
September.
drop to 1, you would only have to cover 2. If you can keep your expenses to about 1,000 each, that's $2,000. If you get 2 sponsors in each of them, you would have to
Eso
cover.
can for you.
We just have to figure out how to
Right here?
fix this deficit, right? Because you can't end the year with this deficit.
Well, I don't think we will. I think we'll,
Mhm.
it's just that we're in the middle of something.
So again, my suggestion, and again, you guys can think about it, maybe you
Can I
have
ask
other.
another
Yeah,
question?
yeah.
Since these sponsors of these 4,000, can we contact the sponsors? And
I mean,
ask
you
them?
guys can contact them, but the town will not be, the town is not okay with moving sponsor dollars that were originally given for the health fair.
Even
for
if they write
something else.
something? Why? What does it
Because I
matter? to
was
the
told
town?
no.
Well, then,
This is why I'm
Again,
talking
to
about
fix this
politics.
issue
So the
for next
next year,
fiscal
the
year, we're
health
gonna
fair-
do a disclaimer.
and next year's health fair will be free. Nobody has to pay anything.
Well, that's a decision for you guys to take.
No,
But
it has
yeah,
to
if you
be.
wanna do that,
Because we
we
got
can't tell you not
$4,000.
to.
We took it out of our budget.
We didn't,
Yeah, we took it out of the.
But
the
you will
500.
still,
We
no,
took-
I'm talking about the health fair for next
The-
year.
the-
Instead of people paying for it, we'll just let them. be
well, you'll
free,
still
and
have
now we
funds is
use
what
the-
she's
the
saying.
money that we
Even
got
if the
excess
town gives
there.
you $0 in your budget, you'll still have the carryover funds is what she's
But
saying.
that's ridiculous because we're gonna get money and they're gonna sign a disclaimer that says we can move it to somewhere else. So why wouldn't we do that?
I'm not saying not to, I'm saying,
I
she's
know, I'm
saying,
saying, why wouldn't we do that? They get another $5,000.
Okay.
We now have 9, but these new 5,000,
We'll be
we can
able-
move to wherever we want. So no, I
Yeah.
disagree with that.
All right,
That
so we,
particular
that's
reason.
not gonna help us now, though.
No, it's not gonna help us now.
Well, that was
I'm
next
saying-
so anyways, if you guys have ideas as to how we can fix this, this is really what we need from you next
Yeah.
meeting, so we
I
can.
can't believe you guys have money and you're having problems. I got nothing and I'm having problems.
Right.
And we gotta fix this.
I mean, if we only need
You
to
know
cover
what?
2 more bingos, if we're gonna cut it
Yes,
down to
but
one.
I'm just saying that's a decision for the
Discuss
committee
this
to
together.
discuss and move on,
Because
because
the committees give us more power.
Yeah.
Sorry.
so, you guys just have to agree,
Couldn't
right?
let it.
Because right now the committee has
Couldn't let it.
scheduled 6.
Right.
So So something for you to think about.
I can't wait.
Okay, I have to go.
The minutes are done. I just can't.
That's
wait.
okay. I mean, there's still time, but yeah.
Go home and send them to her. Because we can't vote on
What am
anything
I
right
on?
now.
No, I know.
So we can't
If
do
you
anything
can-
really. I mean, we had a good discussion here. We at least know where we stand and how we're gonna correct it is,
There's different ways to correct it. You guys have to decide collectively as to how you want to.
well, we're gonna.
And I have to go now talk to the budget office to see how we're gonna charge this invoice, because technically you guys don't have any funds there, and we have a bingo on Wednesday. So I will keep you updated on.
Well, if she finds the $1,000 in the note to you, she.
We're still, even if, let's say
Yeah,
it's,
we're
let's say
still-
she doesn't,
Alright.
right? I'm not saying that she does, but let's say she doesn't, doesn't matter, you guys can, you still have the opportunity to move those dollars. You guys are in your
Okay.
right to move those dollars.
But you need it now to pay a bill.
No,
No,
even
we're
if
still
you
short.
had, you're still short.
Oh.
Even if you had, if she had.
We're
her
still short.
Still short.
For
A lot more.
$3,000.
And that's without, again, that's even without the invoice for Wednesday. And I really want to be clear about that, because if I print a new budget next week and you see a higher deficit, you know. Right, so I just want you to know.
And that's why, with all due respect to this town, I do not understand why they can't reconcile on a monthly basis. Because then we would know every month, this is where we're at, this is exactly our number.
Well, as I've mentioned before, you guys are allowed to have a treasurer keep manual track until that monthly reconciliation comes, but nobody has stepped up to do that.
But we don't get the invoices, we're not getting them.
Well, I received the invoices from Dottie, so you guys do have.
You give them from I don't have, I know.
Well, you send them my.
They give me.
Sometimes they copy you, sometimes they hand it to you and you give it to me. The point is that Dottie and Pedro are very much involved in that process, but they are not the ones tabulating either. So at that point, if somebody wants to, then they would have to work together with Dottie or with Pedro, like, hey, we received this.
We would have to work with town that actually receives the invoice.
This last one
But
was my fault. I agreed to do it, but I didn't get that.
But it's
$11,
not really your fault, because again, we hadn't even agreed to do that. At that point, right, like if somebody from the committee agrees on that, like, yes, I'm gonna keep track until, because of the reconciliations off and we wanna know like real time. We'd all have to work together with that person, like, right, like, let's say it was Lourdes. Lourdes will be like, Io, did you receive anything this week? And I can happily respond to you, hey, this is the invoice, and you keep track of it. I'm not telling you have to do that, but if you guys want to, that's what we would have to do.
That means every time the credit card gets used.
But
as well.
the credit card gets used, I'm not charging stuff for you guys, it's based on the committee. is my-
Right, I understand, but when you charge it, we don't know that number. Because
But that's what I'm saying, we
Right.
would have, if you were the
Right.
person that were gonna take that on, you'd have to work with me on a weekly basis, right? We'd be like, hey, Io, this is my weekly email. What did you, anybody in the committee, did they use that card? Let me know what the amount is, and I can send that to you. Hey, this is the receipt they gave me, Lourdes, right? Instead of waiting, I get you until the end of the month.
Right.
Because unfortunately, it's way too many committees and way too many other departments that have, credit cards and stuff, so they cannot just do it right away. Again, that's just what I'm telling you based on what I.
I reconcile every month.
Me
My
too.
business. And I know bigger businesses that reconcile every month. It's,
If that's, and I get it, if it's a recommendation, again, I
I-
can only
listen.
tell you what's actually in process right now. If there's anything you guys want to change as a committee, you guys can advise council always, right? Like that is why
but
you're,
they're not. We can advise council, and if it falls on deaf ears, it's like not
at
advice.
that point, I can't force council to do anything, but.
Is it up to the
But it is up to-
department? How
Well,
they do their job?
if council wants to change something, right, they direct the departments to do things certainly.
But it has to
They're
come
gonna
from
say-
them to contact finance, not us.
But you guys advise council always.
That's what I'm saying.
So if you guys want to advise council on something, you would have to, as a committee, right, collectively agree and take that to council, is all I can tell you. I'm just
But-
telling you how the process is right now.
I understand, but if we have a liaison. You would think that liaison can relay that. And
I
I,
relate that, but again, the process is, because it's the process work. I relayed the frustration of not real time, but that's just not how we do it. Like that, the answer is, this is the
that's not
process.
how we do it, right? We've
So
done
at that point, that's what I'm saying, as a committee, I'll remind you, you guys are an advisory board to the council. So I can't tell you not to go to council, like, oh, Lord, it's not go and ask them. You know, you guys are well within your right to go and ask council whatever it is you want to ask.
I apologize if I've misunderstood. Yes, I have. If we choose to do it that way, we have to vote as a committee first that we're gonna go before the council.
Yes.
To ask and
For
contact
X, Y, Z.
finance. Okay, I thought, so, no. When I asked that the first time. So again.
You guys can ask council for
I
anything.
understand, but as a committee, we have to vote for it.
Yes, as a
Can't
committee,
do that.
and
now.
that's not because, oh, we can't ask this or no, it's more because it's whoever, right? Lourdes, Dottie, Nancy, whoever's going up to speak on behalf of the committee needs to be in agreement with the committee voter. That's really the reason for that.
Or anybody can go before council and say.
Anybody
"Hey,
can go as an
as an
individual,
individual."
but it would be incorrect of you to go and represent the committee without consulting with
Do
the
you know
committee.
when the next, got it? Do you know when the next committee chair meeting is coming up?
It is 3 months, the committee chairs are every 3 months.
Which means.
You can't
But
get
that's
there
not
from
where
here.
But that's not where you go. for
No,
that.
I know, but as one committee making that request, perhaps there's other committees having the same.
Well, I can
issue.
tell you the good thing about it being 3 months away is that that gives you guys, if it is an issue that every committee, then you still have time to take it back to your committee, get that vote, get those minutes and showing that, and then Dottie can still have time to go back to
So
her
it should be
committee.
coming up now, in July, right?
No, it shouldn't. We just had one last month.
Oh.
The committee, the
Or
quarterly
the
committee
committees
chair.
start not in, I'm thinking,
She's talking about the chair meeting.
no, I understand, but I'm doing every 3 months, we're at month 7, so it would be
Oh, no.
next month.
We just had one last month, I think. You guys have any other questions for me? You have the.
Yeah, I mean, thank you.
Leave the room.
Can you adjourn the?
Okay, I'm to adjourn the meeting.
Adiós, amigos.
And it is, hold on, let me take the time.